Welcome back to the Tackle Shack for this week's Tackle Tuesday. What we're going to be going over is Jag Bankware really worth the premium price? So in order to give you my honest opinion, what I'm going to do is, if you've watched any of my previous Tackle Shack videos, what you'll find is I like to compare one product to another. So in this episode, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going over where I started with my bankware to where I am now. I'll go through what I would and wouldn't buy again, any additional products that I would buy, and all the reasons for that. And then I'll go through what about the new equipment that's coming out that I've not seen yet, and I'll give my opinion on what I think of it. So when you first start carp fishing, I don't think Jag's really one of the brands you'd start off and look, I'm going to buy Jag Bankware, because in all honesty, I don't feel like Jag is one of them brands that's in your face. It's kind of like very bespoke, I'd say, in a fashion. So I started off, like a lot of people do, with the Fox Black Label bankware. And my first setup was basically adjustable Buzzbars and some BANKSTICKS. And to be honest, they served me pretty well. And what I found with the Fox BANKSTICKS, the original ones, and I've got my original ones here, is they wore really quickly. And there's big massive divots out of these, and like piece of the aluminium has been like basically scratched away. And another thing that used to get on my nerves was on the original ones, if you pulled these sticks out, they were a pain to get back in. And also this used to slip, like the original grip system for tightening them used to slip. So I then changed to the new versions of the Black Label BANKSTICKS, and they solved the problem of the slipping, but they still had the issue where, to be honest, these are hardly used, but they scratched and stuff. And to be honest, I don't really think scratch BANKSTICKS is a thing, because obviously you'll probably see a lot of my gears, it's still actually covered in mud, because I don't really look after it, in all honesty. I should probably look after it more. Anyway, so these did all right for me, but I found that they were starting to work quite easily. And then you get itchy feet, don't you? You know, you go to the tackle shop and you can't go in there for a pack of hooks and say a bit of hook link without coming out with a new landing net or a new rod or a new reel. You know the feeling, because it's pretty much nigh and impossible to go into a tackle shop and not come out with something shiny. Well, that's a problem I have anyway. So I then went to the Northern Angling Show and I seen this. And this is the Fox Black Label pod. It's the original pod, and I actually have two of these. If any of you have a brother who fishes with you, they sometimes commandeer your tackle. So Luke's now stole this off me. He was supposed to be buying it off me, but as brothers do, they never pay you. Anyway, so this pod served me well, to be honest, for about 18 months, and we still use a Black Label pod at the caravan. There's a newer version out of it, and I was never really interested in it, to be honest. The features that it had didn't really appeal to me. They've got like quick release bits and bobs on the front and the buzz bars and stuff like that. And coming from a match fishing background, I never felt like anything quick release ever worked that well. So I can't give an honest opinion of the new version of the pod. I can only tell you about this one. So what started to do my head in with this pod was I found that everything was finicky. And originally it came with the two fixed buzz bars, which I've got here. And I quickly swapped them out because I'm not one of these people who I'm not a fashiony type person. I'm not into folded reels or tight rods and stuff like that. And I wanted some wider buzz bars. So I bought these, and they was about 50 quid. And to be honest, they were a good investment, because they made my life a lot easier getting my rods on the pod and stuff like that. Anyway, I still started to have niggles with the pod, and I found that this middle section here, when you lengthen the actual pod, sometimes you pull the bar out and then it might take you 5 minutes to get the pod back together. So that was the first thing that used to irritate me. And then on the back here, when you widen it out and you pull them out and everything, and then when you put your BANKSTICKS in these holes, it just used to get on my nerves. I just felt like it was a ball ache putting it together. And if you've watched any of my tackle reviews, what you'll realise is I like to be dead efficient, you know, and it started to do me head in. And I still use it at the caravan, you know, and it served me well. But I decided what I was going to do is I was going to start looking elsewhere. So one thing that I'd seen on YouTube and it tickled my fancy was how fast people were putting up the new Jag mini pod up. I think they have two sizes in this. They have a mini and a nano, and from what I've read, this bar doesn't change in size and length. It just has less of the carbon piece in the middle, so it extends like that basically, and the two sizes have a different internal size, which makes it smaller. Anyway, I've got the slightly larger version, and when I thought I bought this pod, I felt that my problems that I had from the Fox pod was going to go away, which was very much true, because the leg adjustment on these kind of pods is miles easier. You know, if you pull it out and you put it back in, it's dead easy, you know, and these are like quite tight. What you can also do with this pod is you can replace the legs with bank sticks, so you can make it high in the air as well, which I do like about that. But the one thing that it did have that was an issue that started to get on my nerves and pretty much killed my love for this pod pretty quickly, and that's this. If you look at the reel there and you look at how high this bar is, these are the two bars that come with it for housing your Buzzbars. My reel, and this is a 45 size reel, touches the bar. I had issues with the 25 size reels as well touching the bar, and if anybody out there knows anything I'm doing wrong, then let me know in the comments down below, or if you have this issue with this pod yourselves. It's a beautifully made pod, but it still has flaws. So you think by upgrading to like a more premium version that might be from NGT to Fox to whatever you've got, Century, Solar, that your problems will go away with what you've got, and some of them will go away, but some of them won't, and they'll have their own issues. That's the one thing I've found with all the kit I've bought, and I'm going to keep doing these Tackle Tuesdays because I've got that much kit to go through. I'm a bit of a hoarder, really. I'm a bit of a magpie. I don't tend to sell that much of it, but I should get rid of it. But anyway, so that's that. Another little bugbear is on the ends here, you have these thumb screws, and sometimes they can be a little bit of a pain to tighten and loosen, and sometimes they'll get stuck. But what there is on the market is this, and this is the Jag Multi-Tool. And what this does is alleviates all them problems. It has a number of different fittings on it, which attach to like these sorts of screws on the back, and it helps you tighten and loosen it. So that's that problem gone away. But when you're already spending close to probably, I don't know, 300 and odd pound on a pod and a set of Buzzbars, it's a little bit gutting that you have to buy a tool to tighten and loosen it. But if given the choice, would I have this tool or not? No doubt about it, that's one of the best 20 odd quids I've ever spent owning Jag Bankware. What you can also do with that is, if your Buzzbars and bank sticks are slightly loose, you can use this tool to tighten up your Buzzbar to your bank stick, and you won't get no movement there. And it's a cracking bit of kit, and I'll talk to you a few other bits that I have got that are good. So if I was given the choice, you can have all your money back for this pod, would I still keep it? You know, I did this with my bolt review, and they said if I got all my money back, would I keep it? And I'm going to answer that question every time. If I could have all my money back after having it for probably, I think I've probably had this about 2 years now, would I rebuy this pod? And the answer is no. And because of that, I've replaced that back stanchion there with a slightly longer one, which did sort the problem out, but I feel like I'm annoyed that I've had to buy that to get it right, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't buy it. What I would go for is the goalpost setup pod, the compact pod, I think they call it. I'd have gone for that over this one if I'd have got my money back. There is a new version called the RP1 that's come out, and as stunning as it looks, you know, it's basically like a set of individual bank sticks that go into a pod, and it looks beautifully made. You know, it's Jag finish, so the machining and the finish on this kit is phenomenal. You know, there's no doubt in that. But the reality of it is, it's 450 quid, 430 to 50 quid, somewhere along them lines, and I'm not willing to spend that much money anymore, to be honest. I wouldn't buy it. You know, I stick to bank sticks now really more often than not, and the pod doesn't get used unless I'm generally fishing somewhere like Drayton, where we've got decking, what we can screw it down to, or on the boards and things like that. So no, unfortunately, I probably wouldn't buy this pod again. And it is a good pod, you know, with its flaws, but the bag that it comes with is really well made. You know, you can fit the legs for the pod in there. You can also put your bank sticks, buzz bars, alarms, etc., any other bits and bobs inside there. But I probably wouldn't buy it again, in all honesty. Not to say I wouldn't have another Jag pod, but not this one. It comes with a set of screws as well, and one of these legs actually has a fitting where you can put a screwdriver bit in it, and it's great. You can just screw your pod down and it's absolutely rock solid. That is another advantage of this pod, but unfortunately for me, I wouldn't buy it again. So I'm just going to get that out of the way now, and I've talked about that pod. One thing that Jag do, and I'll just touch on this slightly, is stainless steel bankware. And I did start off by buying a few bits of stainless Jag gear. I've actually lost one of them and Buzzbars, but anyway, it's too heavy for me. And the reason I go for the black is because it's lighter. All right, it'll mark and bits and bobs like that, but I go for lightness over weight. I don't really want to be carrying around a monumentally heavy pod or set of bank sticks and stuff like that. And what I now use is these. So unfortunately, I haven't got the front one with me at the minute, but I use the XL size one. There are newer versions of these out, and I'll show you them in a minute, which are actually on my pod. But for me, like I said, I don't really do the folding reel thing and stuff like that, and I want to be able to put my rods down easy and pick them up easy, and that's why I go for the XL ones. And they are actually too big, but a great thing about these bank sticks is, and a thing that the Fox really lacked, is setting them up at the right exact same length front and back, and they've got markings built into the actual bit that comes out. And what I do is I just set it, I count 4 of them out on each side and then tighten it up. And what you find is these are a lot more rock solid than the Fox ones. You know, they're solid. Once you lock, pardon me, once you lock these down, they don't move. And then what I've gone for is the Jag butt rests, and they are phenomenally expensive for butt rests. The reason I went for this, so there's the ProLogic ones on that pod, which are cracking little ones, and I've had Signet ones, I've had some ESP ones, which I did quite like. But what I found was a lot of grips for your butts, I found either grip too hard, and then when you picked anything up, it ripped your bank sticks out and stuff like that, or your rod slid off. So I did quite a bit of snag fishing, and when I started snag fishing, I found that these were the perfect thing for that. And they come in multiple colours. You know, you can have different coloured inserts, rubber inserts, and they come in packs. So what a lot of people don't realise is you've got to buy 3 separate packs plus 3 butt grips. And I think the total, I think they're about £15 a piece, and then I think you pay about £4 a pack for your grip. So it totals up to quite a lot of money. But if I could get the money back for these, would I get my money back and change for something else? Most definitely not. For me, they're absolutely perfect. I can tune them. I wouldn't call it tuning, but that's probably what it is, to fit my rods perfectly in just the right amount of tension to get the rod out. And they never slide whatsoever, so they seem to grip really well. And it's one product that I am completely made up with. So now, what I tend to use a lot of the time is bank sticks and Buzzbars, and I think they serve me pretty well. And I also have some longer ones that I use, i.e. when I've got to put my rods in the margin and things like that, or out in the water slightly, and they've served me really well. So what you might ask is, why do I like these bank sticks? And what I've found is that they do still mark, but they are in far better condition than the Fox ones. The Fox ones mark, and it actually takes bits of the aluminium off the Fox ones. I think that's what they're made out of, get shaved away, whereas my Jag ones are far more harder wearing, so they're going to last longer. I'm not bothered about them getting scratched. It's not something I really care about, but it's something to think about. These tips as well on these, the point on them goes into the ground much easier. And Jag do a set of bank sticks called excavators, which I haven't bought, and I'll tell you the reason for that. I did actually get some Fox ones, and these Fox ones were the original ones I got when I fished on a couple of venues where the ground was really hard, and this part of the actual bank stick wore away really quickly. To be honest, the damage, there's chunks missing out of them. However, the one thing that Jag has got is a digging stick. It's quite dirty actually because it's been used recently. And this thing is invaluable. I find this is one of my favourite tools, along with this one, for Jag bankware. You can dig holes in the hardest of ground and get your bank sticks in with this. So if you are thinking about buying bank sticks, any bank sticks, I definitely recommend getting one of these. I think these are about 18 quid around that, but I'm really happy with that. And another product, although it's not technically Jag, it is made by Jag, and they're called distance sticks. And these are really expensive. I think they're about 50 quid. And here next to me here is my trusty original Fox bank sticks. You might be asking, well, what do they do that they don't? To be honest, bank sticks are really bank sticks. So some people say that the knurled edges on these hold your line on and stuff, and the line does stay down the bank sticks a lot more, but I think in hundreds and hundreds of times of wrapping up distance sticks, I've probably only ever had the line come off and tangle up once. So don't know if it's really necessary, if that makes sense, but I feel like with these, this will be the last set of bank sticks I ever buy unless I lose them, because they pretty much are indestructible. A lot of people whinge and say that these break off the top and stuff like that, but I haven't had that issue because I use the T-bar to push them in the ground. And I know that with my bank sticks, I can get them into any bit of ground. I've even screwed them into decking boards before now, in little holes where the noggins have come out on the decking board. I've actually managed to get them in there. And they're fine, you know, the tips don't wear, you know, and they're just going to be, the longevity of them is going to be forever, hopefully. And yeah, I'm thoroughly happy with them. If I was given the option to get all my money back for them, I definitely wouldn't replace them with anything new either. Another great little tool for Jag bankware is the palm saver. And what you can use this for is for pushing your sticks in as well. If you haven't got the digging stick, which I have here, you can use the palm saver. This is for when the ground's a bit more extreme that you can't get it in. You know what? How many times have you been fishing and it's been a nightmare to get it in? You can even probably use this with tent pegs, you know, for your bivvy, maybe just to start the hole off to get it past that initial hard bit. But yeah, there's definitely probably more uses for it. But there are a lot of little extra quirky things that Jag think about. You can customize all your Jag bank sticks as well to make them match up, like all your different levers and things like that can be changed to colors and stuff. And that's a nice touch, but it's more tarty for me, to be honest. It's not something I'm really ever gonna do. So that's pretty much how I ended up with Jag. You know, have I had any problems with it? Well, yeah, I have actually. So one of, let me find a short bank stick. I don't know if it's this one. One of these inner bits, I was using it and I tightened it up and this top head came off. Jag's customer service is really good. What they did is I actually messaged them on Instagram. It's funny how many companies actually reply to you now on Instagram. And I just said basically the head's come off, and they offered me to send it back to them and they'd repair it, no questions asked or whatever. And to be honest, I wasn't abusing it. It just happened. And I have heard of multiple reports of this actually happening, but I just used some glue. I glued it back together with some 2-part Owldite and I've never had any issues with it since then. So there has been that. Sometimes these screws, not screws, apologies. Sometimes these levers, what you find is they sometimes don't tighten up and they do spin. But to be honest, you can tighten them a little bit harder and that solves that issue. But other than that, I am really happy with my Jag bankware. You know, I know it costs a lot of money. I know it's a premium brand, but I really wouldn't swap it for anything else other than the pod, to be honest. I don't tend to use the pod very much. Right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about, and this might save you about 75 quid if you get it wrong, but these are the newer version, should I say, of these are called the Jag 2+1s, and what these allow you to do is remove the middle part of the bar and make it a two rod buzz bar rather than a 3. So these are your normal standard front and back buzz bar. And what I've found is I'm not a folded handle kind of person, but they don't really give you that much room. So if I can give anybody any tips, it would most definitely be go for the larger one. They do an XL front bar and use the original front bar as your back bar, and you get the XL front bar. Some people like close buzz bars and stuff like that, but to be honest, it's not for me, in all honesty. So when you compare the size of the XL back buzz bar to the new 2+1, there's quite a significant difference there. And I don't tend to use the 2+1s because I feel like they're actually too small for me, and that's my honest opinion. So if any of this has been helpful for you and helps you with deciding if you're going to buy Jag Bankware, which I highly recommend, you know, I would definitely buy Jag Bankware over and over again. You know, I probably wouldn't change my set of buzz bars now if I was to buy a new set myself. But hit me up in the comments and let me know if you've had any issues with any Jag stuff. You know, do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying about this stuff? Bear in mind, this is my own personal opinion. You know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and what you need to understand is that what fits your fishing and your situation might not fit everybody else's. So make your own mind, but this is me giving you a comparison of what there is. So if you'll give this video a like, and if you become a subscriber, we're going to hope to do this now weekly. Right, so there's not actually going to be a Tackle Tuesdays next week because I'm actually going to be on the bank, and hopefully I'll be bringing you another vlog from our next session, which is going to be at Norton Disney. So fingers crossed we managed to bag a few nice fish up there, get some content, and we'll see you for the next Tackle Tuesdays. Thanks for watching.